Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I've got a Scout Rush guide video lined up, and the purpose of the video is just to show you guys how to get the most amount of value from your Scout Rush in the Feudal Age. I've got tons of different situations lined up that you're going to be facing pretty much every single Feudal Age you will play in 1v1 Arabia. And so hopefully, by the end of this video, you'll learn how to take fights better, both for raiding enemy villagers and for fighting their units in different situations that you regularly encounter. Hop into the video and see what I have prepared here. Now, I've got different situations here. Don't get alarmed by the amount of scouts. I'll be using 4 at a time. And I'm going to be going against spearmen and villagers. Again, this is when you raid your opponent's base, trying to kill their villagers, but they are defending with spearmen. Then I've got archers. I'm going to show you guys how to fight against archers with your scouts. And then I'm going to have scouts versus scouts when both players go for scout rush, and it's completely even in terms of upgrades and numbers. I'll be having no upgrades on any unit in this game except Loom for villagers, obviously, because I really want to showcase that this is for early Feudal Age more so than anything else. I also want to preface the video by saying that I'm using 4 scouts because that's the bread and butter when it comes to scout rushes. You could easily go up to like 9, 10 and get bloodlines and armor and whatnot and go for those big plays. But every scout rush starts off with like 3 or 4 scouts, and your goal is to pick off enemy villagers or trade versus their units. Let's take a look at this first situation. I'm sorry if you can hear knocking upstairs, by the way. I should stop very soon. But yeah, we're going to start with 4 scouts versus a spearman, and the goal is going to be to kill the spearman and kill the villager. I have this task done twice, and we're going to do it the first time with no micro and the second time with micro, and let's just see the difference. The first time, let's just go on stand ground. Remember, always keep your units on stand ground when it comes to raiding. And let's see what happens. So you're going to notice that I'm going to take 2 hits on my scouts, 1 on each. And I'm still going to be able to kill the villager afterwards. Now, I would say that this is actually a really nice trade for me. You know, I killed the villager, I killed the spearman, and I took 2 hits, but I didn't lose a single scout. So, hey, the win in my books, very good situation. I'm happy with it. But is there a way to do it a little bit better without taking that much damage? Maybe we'll take only 1 hit, maybe no hits. See if we can do it with a little bit of micro. So my game plan going into this one, I'm going to keep my scouts on same situation here, box formation and stand ground. But whichever scout my spearman targets, I'm going to go ahead and pull back and run around my other scouts so that he's not able to actually land any hits. Let's see if I'm able to do this properly here and see if you guys can see what I'm meaning. So I'm going to attack this scout, I'm going to pull back. He attacks this scout, I'm going to pull back as well. And like that, I've taken only 1 hit. And just by a little bit of micro, all I did was pull back a scout, forced him to retarget another scout, and then pulled him back, and bam. 1 hit, and I'm able to easily clean up the villager. So again, the difference here is that in this situation, I was actively microing, and in this situation I wasn't. I just kind of let them do the thing, and here I took 2 hits, here I only took 1 hit, and I got the same result. Now, it's not a huge deal, 2 hits versus 1 hit. However, now these scouts are looking pretty healthy, and I'm able to do the same thing again, and maybe even 2 or 3 more times, and those advantages start to really pile up when you're killing your enemy units and your scouts aren't really taking damage. So again, it's a small thing, but it definitely tends to add up. And another thing to keep in mind is that this is versus the AI, but in a real game versus humans, they're not going to be able to react to this kind of micro. They can't react to it. Simple as that. Unless they know you're going to do it and they retarget another scout right away, they can't react to it. It simply happens too fast. So even versus pro players, I'm able to do this constantly and get away with it, and they'll do it to me. And again, it's very hard to react to. Not impossible, but again, very hard. So most people, especially at lower levels, not going to be able to react to this. So this is a very, very good trick to learn. It does take practice, but once you learn, you get to use it every single game you go for a scout rush with. Alright, the next situation is with 2 spearmen and a villager. I'm going to use the same group just because it doesn't really matter here. I don't need full HP scouts. And the idea is, I want to showcase that sometimes you don't have to fight against villagers. You don't have to fight against spearmen, you just want to kill their villagers. The reason for this is because spearmen is a very weak unit in Feudal Age. It only has good damage output versus cavalry, and it doesn't have good damage output versus villagers, and it's also not very mobile. It's an infantry unit that moves slower than a cavalry unit. So it doesn't do well against raids, and it doesn't do well against any range unit. So generally speaking, if you can kill the opponent's villagers, you don't want to trade your scouts versus their spearmen. So let's see if I can do this situation without actually losing my scouts. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to run at the spearman, and my goal is to get the villager. And again, now I see the spearman. I'm going to quickly run 1 unit away and kind of take the attention of the spearman away. And, well, this is an AI, but other, humans might react. But if they react and change the target, you can just do this again, right? Look at that. Dodging away, and simple as that. And I get the villager. and I'll be happily running away here. And look at this, now I can just run away from the spearman. I took 0 damage there and I killed a villager, and now I'm running away from the spearman. And once again, this is the AI, so humans might react a little bit differently, but even if they react, you're able to re-react yourself as well, and you can just move the scouts away from the new target he picks and really just run around the villager. Why are you able to do this? Because of the superior mobility from the scouts. And here I'm just showing the ceiling that Scout Rush has if you're aware of all these different concepts. So again, you kill the villager and you get out. Let's do the same scenario here. This time I'm just going to fight the spearman. And let's see what happens. So I'm going to go at the spearman. I'm going to put them on aggressive stance because I'm fighting against units now. And let's see what happens. So I take one spearman first, which is nice. He goes for the villager. It's not supposed to happen. That's okay. And I'm losing 2 scouts. So I'm killing the villager. But what would you rather have now? Would you rather have 4 scouts and your opponent having 2 spearmen? Or would you rather have 2 scouts and your opponent has 2 spearmen? Because that's the difference, right? Personally, I would rather have my 4 scouts alive and let my opponent have the spearmen. I don't mind. They're not going to do anything, whereas my scouts can run around and get even more value. But now with 2 scouts, I can't really do much with them. I can barely even take on a spearman with this 2 scouts. So the difference in situation there, just a little bit of micro, really goes a long way. And the situation or the outcome is almost the same. Remember, the goal here is to kill villagers, not to kill spearmen. They are useless. All right, let's do another situation here. So let's stack up the archer situation first. So let's go ahead and attack with 4 Fesh scouts. And the first one, I'm just gonna patrol into the archers. So it's 4 scouts versus 8 archers. No upgrades on either. Again, this is before fletching kicks in. Let's see what happens. So, okay, first scout took a lot of damage there. You guys noticed that? First scout took a suspicious amount of damage there. But now we'll be fighting. And again, this is no micro. It doesn't really matter if my opponent isn't microing here. The idea will remain the same, whether they micro or not. And as you can see, I lost a lot of scouts. I'm losing some HP here, but it looks like I'm gonna win the fight. It's actually pretty nice. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty good for me. I'll lose 1 scout, but 1 scout on 3 HP is the final outcome here. So I have a very, very close fight there, and that can go either way. I tested this a couple times, and the result was different in different situations. But here, one scout survives on 3 HP. Let's see if we can do the scenario done a little bit differently. Now notice in that first one, that initial scout took a lot of damage. I'm going to show you guys how to approach range units without taking a lot of damage before you get there. So the idea is you close the gap without taking damage. And I'm going to do this by using the split technique. So splitting and regrouping. So I'm using the split hotkey, this one, and then the regroup hotkey, that one. And of course I have keybinds to them, so I can do this as many times as I want. So I'm going to approach the archers on the box formation, as I normally would. Then as soon as they start attacking, I'm going to go for the split. Split, go back, and then patrol. And I've taken a little bit less damage there to get the patrol in, instead of taking a lot of damage before I'm able to even close that gap. And let's see the difference of situation I'm able to get from this, just by doing that small move and what it could actually result in. As you can see, I'm going to finish this fight, and I'm going to have 3 scouts left over. Look at that. 3 scouts left over. Granted, they're all low HP, but here I've got 3 HP scout versus 3 HP scout, and I've left with 7 and 8 HP on the other 2 scouts. Just by one maneuver, I'm able to get a much better situation. And now these 3 scouts, they can scout the map. They might be able to pick up a villager. Whereas this scout, well, it's only 1 and it's on 3 HP, right? A lot weaker. And again, that's just by splitting their scouts to close the gap on the archers without taking as much damage. And I swear, I could do this better if I tried it more often. Just at first attempt, and just by doing it mediocrely, I'm able to get a result like this. So definitely, keep this in your arsenal when going against those range units. And if he's microing, it's the same story. He'll hit and run, and then while he's hit and running you just split. When he shoots, you split, and you can keep doing it. And if it does take practice, all these moves do take practice. But once you get them down, you can win so many more fights just by a little bit of extra micro. Now the next fight will be scouts versus scouts. I'm just gonna patrol. The opponent is also patrolling, so this is a typical fight. We're both patrolling here, and let's see what happens here. So a little bit of a DE thing there happening, but when it's patrol against patrol, it's all about DE pathing or DE, just fighting in general. It can go either way. And here I didn't micro at all, and I actually ended up losing the fight by 2. So he's got 2 scouts, pretty good HP, because my scouts kind of bugged out there and I wasn't there to micro them. Now let's do some micro in this next fight and see what happens here. So I'm going to start out the same with a patrol, but this time I'm going to focus one target with my scouts and avoid his target when he's attacking with my scouts. So again, he's focusing this one, I'm going to run it back and attack another one. Focusing this one, I'm going to run it back. Focusing this one, I'm going to run it back. And in the end, I'm able to win the fight with 2 scouts remaining and 15 HP. And again, this one, he won the fight, and I wasn't there to fix the patrol. The patrol kind of bugged out a little bit, and it ended up being a fight in his favor. This one, I'm able to control the fight, run my low HPs away, and the computer actually reacted perfectly there. He didn't chase my low HP scouts. Instead, he turned back and fought another one. So this is a perfect reaction from the computer, from the AI. And yeah, I'm able to win the fight. And I swear you can win this every time, just by microing with a low HP unit and redirecting it to another unit. Simple as that. And you can focus fire, their low HP units to kill their scouts earlier and do more damage. So hopefully all these situations were clear. Hopefully I showed you guys how to get extra value from your scout rushes, and how to win these little skirmishes using the same amount of scouts you normally do. So again, with micro, without micro, with micro, without micro, and then of course the spearman examples with the villagers, I think they spoke for themselves as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of style of video. I'm not sure if I can do, this is not going to be part of the series or anything, but it's just going to be a standalone video. Let me know the feedback as usual on it. And if I missed anything, feel free to let me know. As always, ask questions in the comments. I read them all, and I'll answer the ones that I think are very reasonable questions and very valid as well. So ask away in the comments, and if you guys enjoyed, I'll catch you guys in the next video.